Hey guys, so in this video we're going to start creating status effects that we can apply to enemies on hit, so for example burning, poisoning, stuns and so on. And to actually apply these effects we're going to make use of our conditions component that we created for buffs and debuffs, because most of the effects that we can apply will just be applying debuffs to the enemy. So the functionality is already there. I think this tutorial is going to be quite hard because there is lots of different communications with different components and stuff, but I will try to go very slowly. But I think still the good place to start would be just to go over what our conditions component actually does and how it creates buffs and debuffs, because most of you probably forgot and we will be using it quite a lot in this tutorial. So let me just show you. First, in the player, so on the potions, for example, we're creating buffs. So in use item, first thing we're doing is drinking potion, and then inside the potion we got this create conditions, which basically gets conditions from the item info. All of them we have on the potion, and then creates them. So in the create condition, it just loops all the conditions because it's an array, and then for each one gets the conditions component. So careful, don't confuse the two things. We got conditions component that has all the functionality for conditions, and then the single condition component, which is just created temporary to act as a timer for each condition. And then from conditions component, we're going to create condition. So if you double click on that, here we basically passing the enumerator for condition. We're finding it in the data table. And from data table, we actually, if you can see in the data table, in the conditions, we do have conditions with name, description, duration, icon, and item color. And from there, then we continue and we're actually creating the condition component. And we're passing the condition that we need to create and the duration, which is in seconds as well. And then this one just adds it to the array, so we wouldn't be able to create the same one. And add condition, this one here, which is interface function, just tells the player, or later on we can set it up on enemy as well, that he needs to display the condition or the buff and debuff in the actual widget in the player HUD. So this is the setup, and inside the condition component, then what we're doing is, if you open it up, in event graph first we basically setting the condition, we're calling this function and turning it on. And what this does is it switches on the condition itself, and here we're setting the functionality, what that buff is going to do. So we got health regeneration set up, which just increase the health regeneration by 10 when it's on, and when you turn this function off, it will just modify it back to what it was, so it will remove that 10 that we added. And same thing is for burning, but this time it takes the health first and then it removes it. And the last one is what, 45, so it actually increases the armor by 40 and then removes that extra armor. So these are the ones we set up. We'll probably do some new conditions as well. And after basically this condition is created, one more thing is happening, and that is event tick. So it counts how many seconds it's alive, and when it reaches the duration of this buff, it gets destroyed and it turns off condition off. So it calls that function and turn it off again and destroy itself. So this is the setup. And now to actually apply the effects, we will just be using this, but we will set up extra couple functions that will calculate the hit effect and also apply it. So apply one of the debuffs or anything else. So first thing we want to do is we need to create new struct. So go to structs and data tables. And here we're going to go to blueprints and structure. And in the structure, we will call it effects. I'm not going to call it status effects because effects can be anything, not just the status. Effects can be explosion, that the enemy takes 200 damage at once, or anything else we like. We can make him invisible, we can make his arm fall off and stuff like that. So it can be anything, it doesn't need to be status. So effects underscore s, open it up, and here we need 3 variables. First one will be name. So name of the effect, which will be name. Then we will create second one, which will be description. So we can describe what this effect does, and this can be text, add variable, and we need effect chance. So think of this as chance 0 to 100, percentage. So we will do float. And now we have this setup. We're also going to create data table from it. So right click, go to miscellaneous, data table, and here we're going to select effects. Press OK, and this one will be effects underscore dt. Open it up, and I'm going to set up 3 new ones. So effect will be poison, or should we do poisoning? I'll do poison. Yeah, that will probably be better. Poison, burn, and stun. It's very up to you what you want to actually call it, so do whatever you prefer. Name here can be, again, can be anything else. This will be the one that will be displayed. This is just the data table, so here you can change it to even different one. But for now, I'm going to leave it as poison, burn, and stun. And effect chance, just for testing purposes now, I'm going to leave it at 50%. So every second hit, we should be able to apply one of these effects. Save it. And now, for burning, as I showed you here in the condition component, I do have burning set up by default. If you didn't do something like that, I think now would be the good time to add new condition, because I do have a burning, so all I have to do is just apply this condition. But for other effects, for stun or poison, I don't have anything. So let's create some conditions together. And that will be done first in the enumerator. So go to enums, find conditions, and here you got these 3 that we created. Maybe you have more. And I'm going to add poison, or poisoning, because that's burning, and stunned. Poisoning and stunned. That's enumerator. And then also there is a data table for this. So structs and dt, conditions. And don't forget to spell the name of the row the same way as you have in the enumerator, because we're converting this to string to get the conditions data table. So here it will be poisoning. And the last one was stunned. I don't have an icon just yet for these ones. So type in name, description, we don't need to do anything. Duration, I think poisoning should be a little bit longer than burning and a little bit less damage. So that makes sense, and usually that's how it's done in the games. So I'm going to do 10 seconds, and I'm going to leave burning at 6 seconds. And for icon, I don't have one, so I'm just going to select this one for now. What did I do for 10 seconds? Did I not change it? Okay, so poisoning needs to be 10 seconds. Green, and then we can do some poisoning color. Like that. Save it, and stunned. Again, name here can be anything. Description, we don't need. Duration for stunning should be maybe like 2 seconds. And condition icon, anything. Icon can be blue, doesn't matter. Save it. And now we do have 2 new conditions, not effects. These are the conditions. And in the conditions component, condition, single one, we need to set up what it's going to do. You can see we do have 2 new ones here. So on poisoning, we can just copy what we're doing on burning, which is which one? This second one. Copy it, paste it, and then add it to poisoning. And as I said, I want to remove less health, so this will be only taking -4, and then we return it. And for stunt, we're not going to do anything with the stats, but what we need to do is get the owner, And we do have function that is set combat type, combat tag, set combat tag, set gameplay tag. So set gameplay tag, and we can set on the character that we need to do character status and stunt, and we will give him stunt gameplay tag, which then we can create functionality that when the character is stunned, he wouldn't be able to attack or move or do anything else. For now, we don't have any functionality for it, but it's good to add the tag now. So stunt goes to this thing. But before, we also want to turn it on and turn it off when we apply this debuff. So we will do branch, and we will connect this is on, or we can get a new one. This one, just control and transfer here. And when we're turning it on, so when it's true, we're going to set gameplay tag, and when it's false, I think we do have a function for remove gameplay tag. There we go, remove gameplay tag. And there will be character status, and we're removing the stunt. So adding stunt or removing stunt. And for these ones, for conditions, for those of you that don't remember, you can do anything you like in here. It doesn't need to be manipulation of the stat. You can get owner, you can call interface function that will, as I said, that will make character invisible or anything else. We will go over more conditions eventually, later. But for now, just compile and save. We do have this set up. And now let's create a function that will actually calculate the chance on hit and also apply it. So for that, I'm not going to create new effects component. We can do it in conditions component. So in the conditions, first thing we're going to do is add new function, and this will be calculate effect chance. We also need to create effects variable that we can set, so we can add effects to. So in the variables, create new one, and this will be effects, and this will be data table row handle, and make it array. And now all we have to do if we want to add effect on the player, for example, we do have conditions component. So here now we have an effect array, and we can add multiple effects if we like. So first we select data table, which will be effect, and by default I'm just going to give him burn, because for now we don't have abilities that will enhance your weapon with burning or anything. So we'll add it manually here in the effect. And then back to conditions component. In the calculate hit chance, what we need to do is get a couple of inputs. So first one will be effects. Same thing, data table row handle. Make it array, and we will also need to pass the hit actor, the actor that we're actually hitting, because condition component will be calculated on the player that is hitting the enemy, but then if we want to actually damage enemy or apply debuffs, we need a reference to the hit actor, the one we're actually hitting. So hit actor, which will be actor reference, so actor object reference, and make it to single variable. And now we're going to loop through this effect, so for each loop. And after the loop, what we want to do from the array element, let's break it. That's a data table row handle, and we need to find this row. So from the row, we're going to get data table row. Don't connect data table directly here, because then out row is undefined, because this is not, it doesn't know which data table we're trying to access. But if we disconnect it and do effects directly, we do have out row for effects, which we will need because we will need to break it open, and we need effects chance. Now we're going to roll random number, so do random float in range. And range will be obviously 0 to 100, because it's a 100% chance. And if this effect chance is higher than the rolled number, we're going to apply that effect. So let's say effect chance is 10, 0 to 10 will be applying effect, 10 to 100 won't be applying the effect. connect the branch. And now we want to create function that will apply the effect, except for it's better to actually create the event, because I think we will need to use delay in it, maybe, or maybe not. Just thinking what's the best way. Let's create a function for now, which will be apply apply effect. And in this one we need to pass the data table row, and for that we can just do row name. So name, and this will be row name, and we also need to pass that hit actor, which will be actor object reference. Compile and save. And now let's connect it back in the calculate effect chance. So on true, we're going to apply effect, connect it to true. Row name will be this one here, and hit actor will be hit actor from the beginning. We can get it as variable, so get hit actor and connect it. And then in apply effect, when we want to apply it, all we have to do here is just basically do switch on row. So we're going to do switch on name, and here we have to type the names actually manually for the data table, because we don't have enumerator created. We could have created enumerator, but then we would have extra variable that we always need to set up and update. This is going to be a little bit easier. So instead, what we're going to do is has default pin, uncheck it, and we're going to create all of the effects that we have in the data table, which is poison, burn, and stun. So back in the conditions component, type in the same way. So it will be poison, burn, and stun. So again, I'll just say it needs to be typed in the same way as you have in the effects data table row name, because that is the name we pass into this function. So poison, burn, and stun. And then what we want to do is from the hit actor, so that actor we are hitting, we're going to get component by class, and we're going to get conditions component, so we can apply conditions to the actor that we're hitting, not to ourselves. And then we're going to create condition, and for poison we have set up condition which is poisoning. For burn we have set up burning. And for stun, we actually did set up stun as well. This one needs to have a target, and then stun will be here on the last one, and stunned. Alright, so every effect that we actually roll high enough chance to hit will create a condition. And it doesn't just need to, again I'll say, it doesn't just need to create condition. Here if you wanted, you can get component by class, same as this, and you would get stats component, and then you can modify stat directly. So you could remove 200 health, for example, and that effect would be, I don't know, meteorite or something. You know, you don't have to always create conditions. So compile and save. For now this is good enough. Now we actually need to apply call this calculate effect chance when we're hitting the enemy. So for that, let's go to combat component, and we only want to do it once. So here where we take damage, again we don't want to do it on each damage type, we only want to play it once. So we do have play hit event, open it up, this is in event graph, and we can squeeze it in here after sound. I do have some rogue print string, I'm going to remove it. And then here we're going to let me think of the setup. So who is applying what? This is the person. So take damage is playing on the person that is taking damage. So we need to get damage causer, get component by class, we need to get conditions component. So this will be, if the player is hitting enemy, we will get player's conditions component, and from there we will get effects. So get effects, and then from that we can calculate hit chance, but this time we will do it on our component. So from owner get component, we can copy this one. So get owner this time, and going component by class conditions component, and we're going to call calculate effect chance. And this is what I meant when I said that this tutorial is quite hard, because we're calling different components, but basically what you're doing is getting the component of the player, getting the player effects, and then calculating them on the component of the enemy so they can get applied. So calculate effect chance, and hit actor reference will be the actor that we are hitting, so that is just the owner. So it knows where to apply these effects. And then connect it back. And this is pretty much it. So this is how we can apply effects. Now I do have an effect in the player. Let me just double check it. So in the conditions component, I do have burning, which now should have 50% chance to hit. So if I go and play the game and apply any, equip any weapon, then okay. One more thing I completely forgot. Yeah, exactly this is we don't have component created on the enemy. We don't have conditions one. So we need to add conditions. Oh, what am I doing here? Add component conditions component on enemy. Otherwise it doesn't know how to calculate that effect chance. And I think that might be all. This time it might be all. So let me get my weapon with fire damage, even though it doesn't matter. Hit this guy. And now, I'm not sure if you can see it because I got 2000 health, but it is moving slowly. Let me just remove health from this guy and just give him, where are you? Stats component. I'm going to go back to like 200. And then I just, so I don't kill him quickly, I'm going to remove that poison from player. So stats component on the player and remove poison damage to 0. And now I hit him, and you can see his health is draining, and it should drain for 6 seconds, I believe, and then it stops. Again hit him, again he's got burning, and again he's draining health. And this time as well, 3 in a row. Alright, so that is working fine. If you want to test it a little bit better, what we can do is go to conditions component, and then on this one, when we're applying the effect, before I'm going to print string, and this will be the effect that I'm applying. So row name, if it's true, and I'm going to get some weaker weapon like 100. So I didn't hit this time, burn, and you can see he's burning. Third time, nothing, burn, and he's burning. And you can also reapply it, so if you hit 2 burns in a row, obviously it will reset the cooldown, so he will be burning from the beginning. So that's really cool. But one thing I don't like is at the moment we can't really show damage numbers. I want to show damage numbers for it as well. But the way it is set up in the condition component is that we, as I said, we're removing the health regeneration. But health regeneration function runs 100 times per second, so it removes health smoothly. And then also the value is divided by 100. So if you wanted to display it, we would be displaying like 0.01 100 times per second. I'm not sure if I mentioned this already, but you know, it just wouldn't work for our what is it called, damage thingy, damage indicator. It just wouldn't work, but I want to show that damage. So the way we're going to change it is in conditions components, in condition component, single one. We're going to not modify health, we're going to set up custom function. So here we're going to do set timer by function name. Set timer by function name. And on burning, instead of modifying stat, so burning lasts 6 seconds. So let's say we want to remove health every 1.5 seconds. We'll set up function that will be burn. Back in set condition, we will add it here. So burn. We will add looping. So every 1.5 seconds, we're going to do something, and then when it's off, when we want to turn it off, we need to turn it off. So we need to do branch instead of the select. And on burning, we're going to do, if it's true, start timer by function name. And if it's false, copy this variable, don't forget to connect it. And if it's false, we will clear timer by function name. And this will be burn. Problem with this is that it will only start first time after 1.5 seconds. So instead of doing 4 times burn damage, we will only do 3. So this is a preference, but I think once we apply burning, it should start straight away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do minus 1.5, which is this first time. So there will be initial delay, and we will do 4 ticks then, because first one will start basically on 0. So there will be first one, second one, third one, and fourth one, and then it will get destroyed. And what we're going to do is we can Control X this stats component and modify. Go to burn, and here in the burn, we're going to modify, not the max stat, modify current stat. Current stat by, you can set the value directly here for burning, -6. So it should always be the same or something. Later on we can calculate it from the resistance and stuff, but for now I'll just leave it as it is. And this will be -6 to current stat health every 1.5 seconds. And let's just test if that is going to work. So hitting, cause burn, and you can see tick, tick, tick. Right. You can't see the first tick because it's applying damage at the same time, but we can also now show it on the damage indicator, and that is we're going to call it here. Let's see how we have it set up on the enemy. On the enemy we do have what? Take damage here. Spawn damage indicator. But we're calling the widget. Okay, this is a little bit weird. So we need to create new custom event or interface function. So we can call it without proper reference. So let's do one more function in the combat BPI, blueprints, damage types, interfaces, combat BPI, and we will change it to set damage indicator, and inside we need to pass the damage, so it will be damage type float, and also damage type, which is stat. So damage type, and this is stats enumerator, so it knows which color it needs to apply as well. So this will be start set damage indicator. In enemy we're going to now call it set damage indicator, and we're going to do this thing that we're doing here. Spawn damage indicator, this thing, and value, I think value -1 as well. Copy it and paste it down here. Something was wrong while I copied it. Where I copied it from. This got messy. Let me just call it again. So copy these three things and then paste it. And spawn damage indicator, sorry, from the widget, spawn damage indicator. We need to do it like this manually. Damage will multiply by 1, damage, and type is damage type. And now we can call event set damage indicator from condition component. So we need to get owner and set damage indicator. And since this is burning, we'll manually select fire damage, and damage will be -6 or +6. -6 because we are multiplying it by -1. So now, if I play the game, should be able to see the damage indicator as well. Hit him. There we go. 6 first time. 6, 6, and 6. Alright, 4 times 6 because every 1.5 seconds, and it lasts for 6 seconds. You can change the duration in your data table if you like, but I'm quite happy with this. And we'll have to set up one for poison as well and everything else, but this video is getting very long again, so I'll leave it for the next one because there is still a ton of stuff we need to do. So I'll see you then. Bye!